We live in Aquitaine, part of France. It was where the 100-year war took place, and it's full of castles. And when you have a castle, you need a siege engine. I love making these kind of models. Here's a kind of simple battering ram. So I thought today, using junk lying around the workshop, we could build a trebuchet. A trebuchet is a fancy word for a catapult. They were used to fire giant rocks and break down castle walls. A full-size one is enormous, but they're easy to build. Here's some scrap. This bit will be good for the base, the arm. And cut wheels from that. Oh look, a block of wood for the weight. This needs ripping down for the sides. And some extra bits. Perfect. The fence seems to move on its own, so I hammer it down. Notice my extensive personal protection equipment. Well, that one missed my finger. Let's rip another piece the same size. Saws have this wonderful ability to throw back bits of wood at you. Luckily that one wasn't very fast. Well, we survived. Now let's cut it in half. This is an axial radial chop saw. I like it, but it happens to be just about the most dangerous tool of the workshop. I think what people do is put their fingers too close to that spinning blade. Here's my top tip. Cut both sides, level up the two pieces of wood and cut them to length. Two pieces the same size. This is a great piece of kit. It's a double sander, a belt sander and a disc sander with a fence. Easy to finish off the edges and the flat faces. Meet the new vise. This piece of wood had a nail in it. Not for long. A bit of careful measuring. As my granny told me, measure twice, cut once. Equals 86.5 divided by 4. Well, 80 divided by 4 is 20. 86, let's just call it 21. And 3 centimeters over. So again, I want these 4 pieces exactly the same size. So I get them roughly right, turn them over and cut off the excess. I'll line up the 4 and chop off the extra bit. Should be left with 4 pieces the same size. Back to the sander for that finishing touch. The German firm Einhell make quite a lot of kit that I've got. It's low cost and well made. Now this is a miter saw. I needed a 30-degree angle. Pretty easy to do. Aha! Now you see why I needed the angle. Let's try standing the frame up. Almost. Yeah! So using the drill press, I need a hole at the top of the frame for an axle. And in the axle I found a 7-inch nail and some pieces of aluminium fuel pipe which I've cut into 1-inch lengths. That fits the nail. If I can get the nail in the hole and the fuel pipe as washers, we should be good. But how big is the nail? 6 millimeters. 6. This is a handy Makita set. Comes from 4 to 10 millimeters and has wood, high-speed steel and masonry bits of all sizes. Phew, lunchtime. A French ham and egg omelette. Yummy. Back to work. So of course the 6mm hole is exactly the same size as the nail, making it a bit tight. And where's my hammer? So trebuchets have a magic formula, and the magic formula is 3.75 to 1. Here's a man who knows what he's talking about.
All right, I think we have enough built now to talk about the component pieces of a trebuchet and how they work. Graphics, can you help me out? The main parts are the stand, the swing arm, and the fulcrum the swing arm pivots on. Now, the swing arm has a weight at one end and a sling at the other. And here are some important relationships. There's a relationship between the long part of the swing arm and the short part. That's 3.75 to 1. and the sling wants to be exactly the length of the long part of the swing arm. If you get all that right, apparently this thing throws farther than just about any other medieval weapon of war.
So let's try and fit this all together. First of all, another bite to eat. The handy pneumatic nailer with brad nails. This nail is actually a little tight. So let's make the holes a bit bigger. Going well. All I have to do now is fit the other side, and Bob's your uncle. A nice hard push, and whoops. Well, that's not so good. I guess a few more brads. I think the problem here is my hole is too small. That's better, and the fulcrum moves freely. Let's make a couple of bracing pieces to join both the sides together. Handy piece of 1/2" scrap wood. Bang in some brads. Perfect. Only problem, the brad nails are too short. Swiftly switching to some thinner stock, which seems bizarrely to be sprayed a copper color, but whatever. Well, that's better. Now this proved to be a little tricky. It looks like an easy procedure, but getting it all square was harder than it looked. Okay, if one brad nail works well, 5 will be great. Oh, how about some more? And some more. And a few more. The 7" nail, of course, was way too long, but nothing that the angle grinder couldn't sort out. I've recently got a MIG welder, and when I say MIG, I actually mean metal no inert gas. It's core shield welding. Set the trebuchet on fire. But it's made an appropriate medieval blobby. Will keep that side of the nail from moving. Now, after 20 brad nails, a 2" proper nail seems to be just what we need. Well, that completes the main trebuchet frame, but for the ball and chain to slide along, you need a small platform. Thin bit of wood, a few more pneumatic nails, seems to have the appropriate action. But what we need is a counterweight. Now the counterweight is a little tricky to make. You need a box with weights in it, and it has to hang on the back of the fulcrum. In the garden I found some pretty rusty old metal, and radically I managed to brad nail through the metal into a piece of hardwood. And finding the spare hammer can knock the tin round the piece of wood, making a nice medieval box. Quite pleased with that. A few more nails, as I seem to be going through them pretty fast. Ow! And that's the counterweight. Time for a barquette. A French biscuit in the shape of a boat. Little boat. When a small drill won't work, a bigger one is better. I'll need to make 2 thin bits of steel to hang the counterweight off the fulcrum. So using full personal protection gear, I cut 2 1/2-inch rusty metal pieces. So let's clap them together and drill through both. Sounded like a good idea. Well, it goes through the first one, but when it reaches the second one, oops. Well, that didn't work. Needs straightening. Oh, no punch hole on that, but fudging it managed to get through. So these are going to be the hangers for the counterweight. I have a handy bolt which will thread through the hangers, through the counterweight, a couple of washers and a nut. But the hangers of course are too narrow, so bending them out, bending them straight, and then bending them out again makes the appropriate shape to fit the box. All I have to do now is join the counterweight to the hanger. got just the kit, but MIG welding extremely rusty old metal seems to be slightly beyond me. Nope. Try again. Hold it straight and get a spark. Yeah, that's one side done. Notice that already it's pretty well balanced using the 3.75 to 1 ratio. All we need now is to fit the chain and the ball which it'll throw. Pretty good balance. The chain needs to be the same length as the fulcrum end to the axle. This will work the magic and throw the trebuchet. So let's have a look at the finished trebuchet. A coat of ancient oil, filled the counterweight with old bolts. Fulcrum seems to work. The ancient nail doesn't seem so out of place. And the throwing ball seems to work. Let's give it a try. So to siege your castle, use your trebuchet. Let me know what you think and send me pictures of models that you build. Thanks for watching.